Sponsored by TyreSpot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TyreSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast.
Hello.
Do not adjust your sets.
Good evening, Boise. Good
evening, Marlon.
That was very posh, that Mark.
That was very good, that Mark. I enjoyed that. Do it again.
It was my BBC presenter voice.
Well, I'll get your ass out as well then.
Can I just confirm I haven't been sending any illicit photographs or content to people?
But to animals?
I definitely haven't been sending them to animals either. What a start.
30 grand, yeah.
So the very keen ones of you will notice that I am not Chris. Chris isn't with us this evening, so it is just me, Mark, hosting tonight. And we are joined, as usual, by Bestie and Decker.
Good evening.
Hiya.
Good evening.
I feel like we're on a different show here.
I know it's weird.
I feel like we're a guest on a different podcast.
I don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah, it's great, this.
It is the same Always Smiling Faces podcast with just one short.
The short one short as well.
The short one. But yes,
exactly
we are
that.
back. Another week of football. And lads, in major news, we are back in the week of actual football starting.
Is it the Champions League qualifiers this week?
I mean, the big game at the weekend against Gateshead.
Did we play that?
Coming.
Oh, I thought you meant last
this
weekend
week.
because Sunderland
This
played
week,
Gateshead on
Yeah,
Saturday.
did Sunderland play Gateshead, didn't they? And the Shields.
It did.
The same day, aye.
Yeah, Shields and
Oh, the same day.
Beat Shields 4-3 and I think lost to Gateshead.
It didn't start well for them, did they? But of course, we're not a Sunderland podcast,
No.
we'll not be discussing their results too much. But yes, we are back. Pre-season has started.
How's yours going?
It's. I've got a lot of weight to get off this after the summer.
I'm like, no World Cup this year, right? That'll break it up.
I know. I'm not looking forward to the beep test on Tuesday.
Oh, God.
Could you imagine?
Our lads will be. They'll be near by, man.
I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about us.
Well, you're fucked.
Not like Saul Campbell.
That's why Chris isn't here. He's off training.
Trying to get a calorie deficit going.
You need about a half an hour gap in the beep, see?
Would you? I'd be all right for the first 2 or 3. After that, it might become a bit of a worry.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, imagine your first day back at the club being a Sunday. You wouldn't want your first day back being a Sunday, Bestie, would you?
Well, I mean, no. Not especially thing is, though, like, a Sunday to footballers isn't what a Sunday is to us. Like, we, for the most part, all work Monday to Friday. Footballers don't work Monday to Friday, so they probably couldn't give a monkeys.
True.
It is surprising, though, do you not think?
It was Christmas
like,
Day,
I would
didn't
think, like, come in Monday, lads, do you know what I mean?
Nah,
Like,
not really.
Not really.
On a Sunday, that's a difference.
I think some of them haven't even probably stopped anyway, to be really honest.
Looking at the, like,
a couple of days off, maybe on holiday, but
following him on Instagram over the summer, like, you see Joe Linton training, he's been in Brazil quite a bit. Obviously, Bruno the same, Miggy's been doing training, Saint-Maximin's been doing his stuff. Everyone, you go through their stories, Kieran Trippier's been doing it, it's different now where the summer used to be like a few weeks where you just go on the cans and can't bet it and get full of whatever. It's like the to be at that level now.
Unless you're
you've
Jack
got to
Grealish.
He's good enough to do it though.
no, listen. I think when the season first finished, there's seen some lovely photos of them going to.
And Jasmine,
You know, well, they were all out there,
Bird,
and then they went away. I seen some of them in New York and all this type of stuff,
Yeah.
which of course absolutely amazing. And no doubt, I have a few bevies, like, but
Oh yeah.
like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like back in the day, it would be like an absolute.
It's
like,
6 weeks off, innit?
Yeah, 6 weeks
Yeah.
off, just on the highlight type of
But
thing.
now it is. It's more. It's like they'd have been given like. I remember John Joe last summer. I think it was. It would have been because it was Eddie's first summer there, and John Joe came back looking like really like ripped. Well,
Yeah.
and he's obviously professional football,
Yeah.
so he would have been to start with. But he came back looking really, really like athletic.
He had a personal trainer and stuff
Yeah, I think
in
he
his
did,
house and all
so
that. Yeah.
the last they'll have been given before they went on the jollies. Eddie will have words like, "Here's what you're doing. Here's what you're doing. Here's your diet. Here's your training regime," and that's just what it is now. That's what it's got to be. But that's why they are what they are. That's why Joe Linton's just like all lungs and sinew, like, you know.
And of course, a lot of them have been playing international football.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, obviously, we'll probably get onto it. Maybe now is obviously Gordon. Like, you know, Gordon's sort of, how can you say, about early pre-season, if you like, because he's been playing competitive football from the off, and then getting player of the tournament. I mean, it's just amazing, you know.
I didn't watch any of it. Did you see?
No, I mean, I didn't see a single kick, if I'm being really honest. Well, apart from the penalty save I've seen.
I think everybody saw that.
Yeah, I think
the
everyone's
clips
seen
that's
it,
been going around,
which was amazing. Like
Gordon's goal against Portugal is the only thing I've seen from the whole tournament. It wasn't really like, was it on Sky or?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's one of them where normally it's more advertised, more, isn't it? It's like more. Do you know what I mean?
It's a shame because it's a good standard.
Yeah.
You know, I've been reading things today, and I think it might be in the Guardian or someone saying, "Oh, the Chelsea centre half, I forgot to call him now. He's one that could break an England team by the end of the year and get his game for Chelsea." And they've got the 8 players, young lads earmarked for, and Gordon's one of them. They're saying, "Oh, I was athletic," and they're good at Premier League players. You think, "Oh, it'd be nice to have been able to kind of watch that." Not that I mean, we'll get plenty of football, so I can't complain too much. Like, but
That's it. And of course, as you just said, Premier League footballs. We all know what the last stat was around the last time that the England under-23s won the champions, and the majority of the team went on to play for.
Oh, but Sunderland
locked down the road.
Seven of them. That was the big one, wasn't it? The last time England got the final. That was because they played Germany, and I think 7 of the German team won the World Cup in 2014, and 7 of the England team went to Sunderland. Varying degrees of success.
Levels.
Yeah. I mean, Sunderland were a canny side then. Yeah, by their standards, were a canny. Cattermole was there for a long time, and who else was there?
That's not a glowing reference, like.
Well, he was captain for how many years?
Wasn't the best.
I don't like him by any stretch, but he wasn't an awful player. Did a job for them.
We're not a Sunderland podcast, so
We're not.
I know,
We're talking a lot about it.
it's all good. Let's move on. Let's move on.
But no, it is good to see Anthony Gordon getting a run out and winning player of the tournament there. And as we've spoken about a few times, and particularly last week, big season for him. And it's a good way to go into it. And I think he's going to be coming into when he gets back off his little break, he's going to be coming back raring to go.
I think
I hope so, yeah.
it couldn't have worked out better for us and himself, of course. But I'm a bit selfishly thinking of us as a club. But like, well, I think we've all referenced like, get a good pre-season in him. You know, give him some more time, and he'll be absolutely. You know, he'll be a really important player. And for him to get the start that he has, like not like to get player of the tournaments is unbelievable. It wouldn't have bothered me even if he was just playing just to get minutes under his belt, but to have the confidence to come out of that and then join up with our lot. He's going to be ahead of a lot of players, you know. When we actually get into pre-season, he'll be even further ahead than most of them. So
I don't think he got played at the tournament, obviously, but I don't think he even started every game. I remember seeing one team sheet in the group stage first or second game where he didn't start.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means I don't really keep an eye on the under 21s, under 23s, whatever. So I don't know whether that means that he was just rested or if they thought we'll try something else because it wasn't working quite as. So to get player of the tournament from there is quite, for me, it seems.
I've seen a few.
Quite
I suppose, Christ, I mean, Twitter it's always going to hate no matter what happens. But I did see a few people saying that Curtis Jones, I think they were saying possibly should have gotten it. Or
see the Liverpool.
Aye,
yeah, good play him.
But listen, by the by, I'm not bothered. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
But again, for his own confidence in that, like, must be amazing. Fingers crossed he can carry that through to pre-season for us, and then because he is going to be a massive part of the next season. There's just no doubt about it.
I really hope I hope he just starts the season. Well, it's the same as when Miggy hitting the post against Huddersfield on his debut.
Aye.
I think if Gordon he was through against Southampton quite early on. After he signed, if he put that one away, you think maybe he gets 3 or 4 more. But then
there was a few games I was actually thinking. I was talking to someone the day about, and I was thinking of the chances that he did miss. Like he was put through on goal quite a few times and was just putting it wide and stuff. And he just needed that moment. I mean, he got it against Chelsea, ironically, but it was maybe too late at that point. But
last game of the season,
So, but I know what you mean though. By getting that early goal, it just. I don't know. You could see
just
how much
takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
How angry he was with himself when he was missing these chances, the opportunities. He was. For me, I've always said I'd rather someone getting them opportunities, and that's more important for me. Getting in them opportunities. I appreciate everybody. You all want him to score on that, but you could just see how there was definitely one. I remember I can't remember what it was against, but we were shooting towards a Gallowgate, and he was absolutely furious with himself that he missed. I think we're already ahead in the game as well, so it was like it just would have rounded it off, and he missed, and he was just absolutely irate with himself.
I remember what I mean, but I can't remember.
But yeah, it'll come.
I think it will. I've got high hopes from this season.
Yeah, I think I have as well.
I think again what we did say like about the pre-season, but I think Eddie. I think what we need to do, but certainly at the minute, what we need to do is buy players who aren't quite the finished article yet. Like with, I mean, I suppose Bruno's pretty close to it, and Trippier's obviously not going to get much better given he's 32, 33 this season, I think. But like, when buying Tonali, people have said it's buying young players who people like to look of, but Newcastle are taking a risk.
Yeah, well, you could
And
say
how much risk it is,
Bruno.
but-
I think so. I'd still say Bruno is or was that. Sorry,
Yeah, I think
you know,
that's-
because you didn't really know, and you got Isak, who
Again,
you know,
another one, yeah.
another one with has got loads of potential, and the kind of you're paying a lot of money, aren't you, for that potential? Like, do you know what I mean? But you have to trust
Wonderful player as well.
that how he'll be able to get it out of them. That's
Yeah.
the difference, isn't it? That you've got a coach there that can physically coach somebody and
Yeah.
make them a better player. Whereas before you could give Isak to Bruce, for example,
Yeah.
and he would just look shite.
It wouldn't, yeah,
It just wouldn't work, you know what I mean?
I trust.
Big Joe's the case in point there, isn't he?
It is,
Yeah, loads of them. Jacob Murphy, Sean Longstaff. Longstaff did a job under. I'm going to do it, Rafa.
Rafa, there we go.
And then
It's been a while.
It was, and Longstaff even said like I just wasn't getting coached.
Yeah.
But Isak's been good enough to get in the cover of what used to be FIFA only this year. So he's
Yeah, I seen that cover.
He's
yeah.
well represented.
It's an half cover, isn't it?
That doesn't work for me. Like,
Yeah. I heard that's what
I
they were going to do.
don't mind it.
I heard they were going to have Haaland as the player, then have all the animators or
Yeah.
30 characters around him.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. Like, but anyway,
There is some that look a bit peculiar on there, but I think in the main, there's a good likeness across the board.
you can tell who they all are for the most part. Like the ones that you recognise, like some head.
You'd like Beckham. Beckham looked good.
He did. I zoomed straight on him. He was the first. I zoomed in on Beckham before I even. He sat just straight in the back. Sorry.
But of course, Bestie, you did mention him there. Somebody else that did play during the under-23s tournament, our new signing,
Of course,
Mr.
yes.
Tonali, and he has now officially
Smiled.
not yet. I'm not sure we've quite got there yet. But no, he has officially landed on Tyneside, and we've seen some nice content. But just a minute. There's no surprise.
Content wars last week.
You don't care, do you, about that?
No, I like it. I've sat and I've watched these the interview. I normally watch if like the Eddie Howe press conferences. I normally just listen when I'm working, but because it's in Italian, you've got to read the subtitles. I don't speak like, any Italian.
Oh, do you not?
Just a bit.
Mark does.
Lasagna?
He's an expert.
Il
Italian.
ragazzi, la ragazza.
Bolognese.
Bolognese, aye. From Bologna. So you've got to I'll take 10 minutes to actually watch this, but I've enjoyed it. I do like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not important to us. I'd rather just announce a signing.
He looks very, very serious, doesn't he? Even when he comes off the plane, I'm not expecting him to be doing cartwheels and laughing in that. But
Looks a bit like Adam Driver, I think. Like.
Just looks like
He does, but
just serious all the time.
there's
Like
photos of him when he signed for Milan, and he's like, he's
Yeah.
not exactly.
that's what I mean. He just looks,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Like
There's been a lot made of that though, Decker, hasn't there?
There has. Listen, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying, like, I seen a picture with him sitting on this £1 million yacht,
Yeah.
with arguably arguably the greatest lass in the world, and he's not even smiling. And I'm like, I'd be smiling, like, you know what I mean? If he
Well,
was
look,
on my lap, like. But anyway,
it's a weird thing because I always remember, like, people would criticize maybe his Derek Land bias.
I think I'm me there.
No, sorry, Derek Petrie. But not like if we got beat off someone, like the camera would cut to the crowd and Lambias happened to be smiling about something, maybe something totally unrelated. Oh, what's he laughing at? We're getting beat. It's like, well, that's not how life is.
No, I totally agree with you.
Like,
I agree with you.
I don't smile probably 95% of the day.
Yeah.
More. And if someone takes photo, I'm a miserable bastard. I'm quite a happy bloke. Got a nice life and all. I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, but he does look miserable, though.
Nah, it's just one of those things. It's just.
Is he just focused, Bestie?
There was a similar thing with Kai Havertz. I remember during the World Cup, he won a man of the match or something. And the photo of him was like, I think he was going for smouldering. And I think our Sandro's got a bit of that about him. He knows he's a good-looking boy, like, so instead of kind of beaming, and he
Well,
might,
you see,
he might not like you smile.
Do you think he's good looking?
He's funny that, right?
See, I don't.
He's got quite quite a large bone structure.
Yeah, I don't think he's good looking, but he's sexy. Like, that's what I thought.
I know the kind of thing you mean.
He
like,
looks.
oh, yeah.
when
He's
he
got
had,
he's got a very Roman feature for
Yes,
somebody
that's
from
it.
Milan.
That's
Yeah.
well, it's not that far away, is it? The chance of in the 2023 years since
Bit of
the
mixing going on there.
He's going to be amazing, you know. I think. He's got on his.
I'm
I
not
don't know
forward
why.
to
I
seeing
just
him, because
have
even-
this feeling he's going to be really good. Like.
in his interview, he's likened himself. It might not have actually been the interview when he signed for us. He might have been a bit younger, but even he was saying I'm more like Gattuso than I am Pirlo. In Gattuso, I mean, he was a dirty boy, wasn't he? But he was a good player, like
Very
he was
good
a
player,
good player.
brilliant player.
And if we're basically signing, and he's not dead, but Gattuso incarnate.
Yeah,
I'll live with that, like.
but the footage I've seen of him and more, I've watched loads over the last week. He really can play as well, though. I mean, no offense to Gattuso, like he could as well, but he was just an absolute terrier in midfield.
He was a
Do you know what I mean?
swine, wasn't he?
Whereas I'm seeing the way that he carries the ball and the passes that he can make, I am getting Pirlo, as well. So, not to put too much.
I think
pressure on someone, but it's
football's
quite
moved on
complete.
a bit since then, hasn't it?
You
So
can't just
kinda-
fly in the way
yeah.
you used to. You know what I mean? But to be fair, you also do need that as well. I still say that's why I like Joe Linton so much in midfield.
Yeah.
To go off topic a little bit, I do like him in there because you're going to get that real box to box powerhouse. You know what I mean? That you need, and I appreciate that's probably why he gets booked every week because the game has moved on a lot, and you cannot really do that. But I'm still really excited to see him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I really
it's a
am.
great signing.
Yeah,
It's a really, really. I mean,
Still can't believe we're going, considering he's a Milan fan and
Yeah,
he's won the Serie A and then he's Champions League semi-finals and then he
Serie A.
needs to come to us.
But that's why he's so unhappy, Dagger.
because he's leaving Milan.
Because he's leaving Milan. He's coming here. I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
apparently the gym's smaller. He hasn't turned up for training today. I mean,
Are there either
come
of
on.
you been at Milan?
Yes.
Is it nice? I've never been.
Awful.
Is it really?
Horrible place.
I've never been at Milan.
Yeah.
You know.
Other than the centre around the Duomo and the designer stores and stuff like that, once you get out of that central area,
So
it's not pleasant.
Same as any
But
city,
it's
isn't it?
like
'Cause
any
that's what cities are,
major.
isn't
Exactly. That was the one thing I was really surprised at when I went to Milan was just how kind of run down and graffiti everywhere and like that kind of thing. But then all the glitz and glamour and that side of stuff, it's like, oh, it's Milan, it's the fashion capital of the world,
The only place,
etc., etc.
I went to Italy in. I've only been once. It was in the Easter 1996. Stayed in Lake Garda with school. They used to do school
Beautiful.
trips every gorgeous. And we went to we did day trips. One in Verona, one in Venice. And Venice was the only place in Italy that I saw graffiti. And it was down one of the side streets. There's probably loads, but the only bit I saw, I noticed. Bear in mind, this is spring 1996. The one bit of graffiti I saw was is bad news.
Really?
That was it. That's the only. Paul Ince is bad news. He was playing for Inter at the time.
Yeah, that's right. He was, wasn't he? Yeah.
Before he came back to where did he go for Inter? Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's my story about graffiti in Italy.
It is.
Is graffiti an Italian word? Assuming it is.
Somebody will tell we in the comments. They always do, don't they?
Especially
Look that up
Italians
for
in
me. Is graffiti an Italian word?
Feels like it could be.
Could be. Never mind. So yes, back to graft and back into training.
Graft
and,
or graffiti?
A bit of both.
Craft.
Well, that's where I was going with this one. So we've seen a lot of photos of players reporting back for duty, and we did, of course, see Emile. Mm-hmm. Nice to see him back.
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't always liked Emile Craft. I've liked him since he started playing well, about 18 months ago. It was a shame.
Tends to happen,
It's a shame that he got injured when he did last season, because he could have. Obviously, Trippier is always going to be first choice right back, but when Craft has had to deputise, he's done really, really well. And I think I'm assuming they've bought Ashby with an eye on the future.
Yeah.
And Trippier isn't going to last forever, you know. Like it says, I think he's 33 this season. So how many more seasons are we going to get out of him? But I really would like to think that Eddie sees something in Craft and that Craft can do it, because he can. So he did play really well.
Well, I thought when Howard first came in, obviously it was always a worry, that area, it was. And then Howard came in, and I thought Craft improved, as did everybody else. Improved it unbelievably under Howe. And I always reference the last 5 to 6 games more. And I remember Arsenal at home last day of the season, he was absolutely magnificent at the right hand side, defensively and going forward.
Trippier got injured, didn't he, towards in that season?
Yeah. He did, yeah.
And obviously, of course, it is awful.
As did Manquillo, if I remember right.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Well,
He was
Was it not
most
the
of
same
the
game, actually? I seem to recall
I think Manquillo was out for
Manquillo having to go over
most
to the
of
left
season.
or something and play there, and then he got injured.
He came on the left because when they won at Elland Road, when Shelby scored the free kick, Manquillo kind of started that move off.
He did,
from left back.
He did, yeah. Well, I watched an interview, Howard at the training ground, the one about like players returning and stuff like that, and he referenced Willock was not quite ready for full training, but like would be in a few days. Sean Longstaff's back in full training, which is good. Mm-hmm. But he referenced that Craft isn't.
Yep.
He's still behind where they expect him to be. So it's a bit of a worry that, I mean, don't get us wrong, he's still, of course, come back, but you think of how long he's been out for, and he's still not ready to train.
I don't think he played it all last season, did he?
No. He didn't. So it must be a real bad one,
He only started training towards the back end, but I remember, obviously, last game of the season, or the wandering around the pitch, he was at least off crutches.
Yeah.
So
you just never know how a player's going to be when they come back from something like that. But
yeah, that's right.
All we can do is see, right? See what happens. But I do want to reference what you've mentioned there. Like, let's say he comes back and he isn't the same player, right? I'm going to look on the dark side. I tend to always do that, actually. And you cannot rely on Trippier. You cannot for 60 games, however. You know what I mean? You can't.
A big season, a long season coming up. I
I definitely think, depending on his fitness, we have to look at that area. Like I really do.
We're
No, I
quite
know
rich
what
of right backs. We've got 4 at the club at the minute.
I'm sure Manquillo's been told that he can go as well, hasn't he?
That's one of the chats, yeah. And obviously we've been linked with another right back, haven't we, in recent weeks from Southampton.
That's what I mean by I think
Livermore.
we probably are looking. But again, a lot of it's going to have to come down to FFP and how much budget we've got and who can we move, which no doubt the questions will probably come up for that. But I just think it's, in terms of enhancing the squad quality-wise and in depth, I think right back is a position that we'll have to look at. Like, but isn't, don't get us wrong, if Kraft could come back, get a pre-season and train and come back, that's great, wonderful, because you've got a really, someone that's been there, worked on how before, has definitely grew within the team and the club, has become a better player. And that's fantastic, but I just worry that he's been out a long time, and you never know, do you? So. And
then Ashby, obviously, as we've mentioned, is the one that we're kind of earmarking to take over long term from Trippier. But he's had his injury troubles as well since, even before joining us.
I don't know how good he is. I've got no idea how good he is. West Ham let him go for less than £1 million. So is that indicative of when with that Minter cost were 6.5? Yeah. He's gone off on loan. I know it's horses for courses, but. I don't know how good Ashby is. So to say, it's like when we had what do you call him, the Danish Geordie up front, the Sorensen, the young lad.
Sorensen, yeah.
Everyone was crying out for him to get in the team. And I went to watch the youngins play one midweek. I forget who against now. They had a penalty shootout, and he was rotten. And you can see like he's nowhere near.
Yeah.
And he went to Carlisle on loan. I think he's back in Denmark now.
Whoever comes in to fill Trippier's boots has got some ass to do. Because I reference this every week.
He's so important.
Christ,
massive.
So much goes through him.
Yeah,
really does.
We look at all the stats about the amount of times he puts the ball in the box and chances created, and he was man of the match from who scored like 25, 30 times. He was like constantly consistently. And whenever we always talk about the kind of triangle on the right hand side, him, Miggy or Murphy, as it became, and Bruno and Trippier was a massive. The intelligence and the ability to put the ball where he wanted to put it. And the movement, he was a huge part of how he played last season. But
that won't change. That's not going to change either. That'll still be a large part. I will have different things in our arsenal, no doubt, but that'll still be a big part of it. And whoever comes in has to be, for example, comfortable on the ball straight away. This is why, and I'm not the person I'm going to reference here. I'm not saying he's not comfortable on the ball, but Manquillo ain't going to be able.
Yeah,
he just can't do that.
He's got that ability.
He'd run all day for you, and get out the line and stuff, but he ain't going to be able to physically start moves off like the way Trippier does, So if that's a massive part of your game, as a team, your substitute right back has to be comfortable on the ball and play the same kind of way, right?
There's got to be a contingency, hasn't there? As you say, especially with 60 games this season or whatever
it might be, you never know. And if something, touch wood, something did happen to Trippier, like what's happened to Kraft, for example, Christ, imagine losing him for a long part of the season.
It's worrying, but Sean Saunders has put a comment here. Bestie, you mentioned loans just there.
Yeah.
And he's saying Ashby has to go out on loan. He's 22 years old and hasn't played a lot of senior football. Mm-hmm. Is that a good shout?
Yeah, if I don't see why not. I don't expect he would be in the first team plans if Kraft came back and be fit. If in the end Manquillo stayed, or obviously, if Trippier started anyway, then he's first choice anyway. But Ashby, without having seen him play, as I say, I don't think that's a bad shout. Just so we can see what kind of standard he is, because I don't recall him being on loan. I've not looked, really. But when he was at West Ham, he just seemed to be in the youth team, and he came in a few League Cup games or whatever, and I don't recall him being sent off to
He was always obviously highly rated at his time there.
Had you heard of him before he signed him?
No, I was just reading things in the Athletic and stuff after we signed him, when it was some the West Ham journalist from down there. So, he's a really good player, blah, blah, blah. But I agree, you sometimes have to look at it, and he hasn't played much with West Ham at all, and you've signed him for next to nothing, and I haven't heard anything about him since he joined us, he's been lighting it up down there, blah, 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 blah. I haven't really heard
to be fair, he has been injured a lot of that time.
That's fair. Well, that's a problem, but it's fair, I guess. But I guess we'll just got to see what happens. But I think Kraft, back to the hymns, it's still it just wasn't nice to hear how, unfortunately, you have to say he's still not ready to train yet, properly, which isn't great, considering the length of time he's been out,
But it is still early, plenty of time to get fit, get in and around it. So, let's not write them off as yet. Somebody that a lot of people have written off, back in the news again. Your mate?
Oh, my mate. Oh, God. But Do you know, like, listen,
What's happening now?
well, so Luke Edwards has put a tweet out
yes,
today
sorry.
saying, obviously, that we have to sell Maximum to fund Barnes. I hate that phrase, first of all, because, like, the richest club ever to exist here. We don't have to sell them to raise the funds, but it's FFP related. That's what they're saying, right? For me, that it's just an absolute no for me. But of course, I'm going to say that. I just think I want Barnes and I want Maxi and I want Gordon and you know what I mean. I don't want to lose what I still think is a huge part of the squad. To fair enough, get a very good squad player in. But I just feel that's almost a sideways step. I don't really think that benefits her personally. That's my opinion. But part of it is I am getting sick of having to. You're gonna laugh, yeah. I do get sick of having to talk about him in regards to defending him all the time.
Well, there's been some more
It just
cryptic
doesn't
messages
get it.
across the last week or so, with him running up and down streets and training, and again, the way I kind of look at it is he's trying to work hard and almost put in the effort to say that, right, I'm still here, I'm ready for the fight. You know, I'm fit, I'm raring to go.
I do think he's done that quite often, like in regards to running up and doing back lanes and that. Like I've seen him putting random things on Instagram and things like that quite a lot. And I think it is just, you know,
Wall's End, Watergate.
you know, because he gets slagged
Running
off
down
for,
there.
if it's his card game, he gets run. Then he's running in the street and he's probably getting run for that probably now. But like, I don't know. I just think sometimes he kind of do right. Maybe I'm just seeing something totally different, but I just don't see a player. People go on sometimes like he's Gabriel Obertan, like as if he's that bad. Some of the criticism I see, I go, am I
He wasn't as good as
physically-
that.
Am I physically seeing it? Like, he's just not that bad. Like, he's not that bad of a player to warrant the sheer conversation and constant shit. Like, I just don't really get it. Like, I just don't really get it.
It is mad how divisive opinion is on him, isn't it, Bestie?
Just in this room.
there is that.
It is. And there's always he puts his stuff on Instagram with the cryptic whatever's, and he just whatever happens. I wouldn't read too much into it. I don't think he's putting that on, trying to get people to join the dots and say, oh, that means that he's going to Lille or he's going away to Saudi.
But that's what happens.
Well, it is, but people will do it. People share. There was that bloke talking on a different podcast about Newcastle, about having to go with Newcastle lasses and all that. And you see that?
Yes.
I shared it a few times and think, well, I know I'm talking about it now, but I've not mentioned it. Like, people talk about it because it gets shared and because people kind of get the argument about it. Just let him crack on. If he stays, he stays. I'd love Saint-Maximin to stay and to kind of fulfill his potential. Which sounds a bit mad to say because I think certainly during the COVID season and a half where he couldn't get into St James's, him and Callum Wilson were head and shoulders our best. I remember he scored 3 or 4 against Burnley over the course of a couple of games that were like he was turned. There was one where he went to have a shot and the camera went and he had the shot like kind of sort of almost like snuck it in. He's been but to say like I don't know if he's fulfilled his potential. It feels as if now that we are what we are, we're a club who are kind of. Or maybe he's matching the ambition that he was sold when he signed, or that he wanted to sign for. Or maybe we were now a club that we thought would be selling him to, if you know what I mean. We probably, when we got him, if it was a club, like
everyone said that. Everyone, even he said it. Like everyone said it over them times that it's like, God, I can't believe we've got him. If we didn't have him, we'd not had. And now all of a sudden, oh, it's fine. Like
I like him. I think a lot of the criticism he gets is undue. I also think a lot of the defence he gets is a little bit too passionate as well. Like I don't think he's
that's me then.
I don't think he's as bad or as wonderful. I think he's very, very good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still not totally certain that he fits, but I really hope he does.
Yeah.
But being linked with Harvey Barnes, getting Gordon in last year, obviously Harvey Barnes plays on the left. I understand.
Let's. So I'm not to try and deflect here, but like,
Yeah.
So let's say Gordon, right? So for example, everyone's waxed lyric about Gordon, like massive. And I'm seeing very, very similarities here to when Maxi came in.
Yes,
I know they're completely different players, yeah. But I remember the champ when Gordon came on the pitch to sign. You know, when he first signed in, he's had real support from minute one. And I remember he came off the bench and he had a really good first 10 minutes, like maybe West Ham at home it was.
Yeah.
And everyone around me is going, that's it. Maxi should never play again. Gordon this, Gordon that. Now, Gordon, to be fair, has been pretty average, really. Hasn't really done much, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Can I just add here? I'm not complaining about that. But I will say if Maxi performed that way, people would have a problem.
I think
Because Maxi was definitely getting more. I remember West Ham, I think he got injured then, but he set up Wilson for his goal. It was a lush cross to his left foot. Wilson scored.
Yeah, it was.
He was playing really well.
He won the cup final as well.
He was doing nothing, no problems at all. Everything was fine.
I thought his first game back, he was quite poor.
He was,
after the
yeah.
injury. But he built, before the next injury, there was a run of maybe 8, 9 games, where every game he was getting better, and he'd... I only mark you
3 or 4.
No, it wasn't. He was. Yeah. By the end of that run, he was kind of like, oh, he fit. It looks like it's working. Because he was doing his natural game, or what we perceive his natural game to be, because that's what he did when he signed for us, was to be the focal point almost. Because he was like, how many times have we sat here and said all the plan was give it to Maxi net and run? Yeah. But that's when teams would press were high. So if he got past his fullback, he was gone. He was in like 30, 40 yards of space, and it could cause damage. And again, those Burnley goals, I think that's kind of what happened, really.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Ricardo's saying in the comments there. He's saying it's not just about raw stats. ESM gets us up the pitch in the blink of an eye.
He does, but the problem that I think he's found now is that he's got to do the extra work that he didn't have to do previously. So he's had to incorporate that into how he plays. He's had the injuries as well, obviously. But teams don't attack with the way they used to. Like, how many games last season did we have to try and find a way through teams? Or a run of games after the World Cup, we were scored really late against Fulham. We had one. We drew a couple. We drew against Bournemouth.
That's a good point you make, because I honestly remember this, because I remember the people that tweeted it. I haven't saved them, but I do remember it. I'm not like keen with the button out, but like we were struggling to score goals in them games, and I remember he wasn't playing, and they were saying like, "I'll never criticise you again, because actually you're probably the one that can maybe make something happen." And I was kind of going, happy days. Finally, someone. Now it's not always going to work that way, right? I understand that, but I still like. What I was meaning by the Gordon thing is like, so if Gordon performs the same, I hope he doesn't, right, stay whinge, I'm just saying, if he performs the same again, does then people write him off as well then, and sort of go, well, you know. Like,
I think that kind of did start to happen last season a bit, because I mean,
he did get a bit of grief at the end of the season.
The way we were talking last season, and we've said it this season about getting anyhow the pre-season of Eddie Howe's training and coach and whatever. I think that in itself is kind of indication that we've thought, well, he's maybe hasn't performed to his potential, but we would like to see more from him. And saying that is what us saying, almost kind of hoping, like projecting, right, Eddie Howe, do that, make him, you know, the player that we want him to be, a bit more of a finished product, mould him and all that. And then go from there, because I think us saying that is kind of us kind of saying maybe it hasn't worked as well as, no, it hasn't worked, that sounds really harsh, because I think he's a good player. It's kind of giving him another chance almost.
Okay.
But we're even that in it again.
I do think
I don't like how that sounds, but
wingers
like your way shirt.
It does, yeah, shite. Wingers are frustrating.
Yeah.
Every single winger in world football has always been frustrating. Do you know what was frustrating? But I loved him.
Yeah, Keith Gillespie.
Ben Arthur's crap. All of them, man.
Aye.
Rule Fox was amazing, but constantly, he was unbelievable.
Scott Sellers was as well.
But they are just frustrating because, and listen, I'm again right. I've definitely said this many times as well before.
Wonderful left foot.
You'll see a player midfield get the ball and play a nice ball out wide, clap. He's amazing. What a wonderful player. And then they'll give it not just Maxi, any winger, and go, all the best to you, mate. And they're really expecting him to run from halfway, then take on 3 players and shoot, or find the best pass you can find.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's really difficult now sometimes to play out wide.
Oh, absolutely. I think something else that we found is how good, if you look back to the Pardew team, how well Gutierrez and Davide Santon worked together. If Santon hadn't been playing left back, Gutierrez wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I had Enrique and Jonas before
Sorry,
that.
I meant Enrique then Santon latterly, but it was Enrique that I had in mind. And they worked wonderfully together on the left hand side. And
Jonas was by far, like, I loved him, but my God, he was by far the finished article, right? He used to running down tunnels, the blind alleys and everything.
His product was awful.
Terrible. But, you know,
he really well playing deeper back when
he did, didn't he? You're right there.
Had him, Toyota and Kabay in the middle.
Don't know how we're getting a good, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Take Taylor again, it's great.
So were you going to say, contrary to what Mark believes,
yes,
with Burn?
I know exactly where you're
going.
I think Burn did towards the end of the season, he did start getting forward a little bit more. But I think if you've got Saint-Maximin there, the problem you have, if you've got Saint-Maximin and an attacking left back, someone who's going to kind of overlap, you leave a lot of room in behind. So you need, apparently Tonali can do that. That's something Tonali does, is kind of fit in that gap. I think Jack Colback used to do it as well. I mentioned that the other week as well.
And Longstaff does it on the right a hell of a lot.
Yeah, he does.
That is the beauty of playing 3 in the midfield, isn't it? If you're playing 2 in midfield, you can't really do that. But if you play 3 in midfield, 2 of them just have to be aware of what are the surroundings and what's happening and fill in.
Yeah, and be a bit more flexible.
And it allows you to have I always, and I know one really likes him as a person, but like Robinson, for example, I think is just the complete left back. He's just
brilliant,
unbelievable. If you could have him with an attacking left winger, you're in show business, like, because the opposition's got real problems down that side of the field.
Being linked with Kieran Tierney a lot, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
I agree. But if you could keep him fit, and you had, I'm not necessarily saying Maxi. I mean, even Gordon, for example. If you have that kind of time on that side of the field, like, you're causing real problems, like. But but back to the Maxi situation. I mean, I was going to ask you, sorry, because we're on a massive tangent there. So I know you don't like him, but if you, I'm only kidding.
I have never said I don't like him.
Every day, text us all the time.
I hate him.
Would you sacrifice Maxi to get Harvey Barnes and go, right? Thanks, that's great. Swap type of thing. One in, one out.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because like even in the comments where we've been having this conversation, the opinions on Maxi, the for and against, the arguments that are going on in there is just exactly the same as what you see in this studio, what you see on Twitter, and he's a very divisive character, and people are using the links with Harvey Barnes, for instance, to either go against the argument of that he's not good enough, because they'll then compare his stats in the time that he's been here versus the stats that Barnes has got with regards to assists and goals
very productive
and stuff like that.
My man is.
And then you've got the opposite side of things of that, well, yeah, but he's very, very boring. He won't get you out of your seat. And it's a balancing act, isn't it, between the pair of it?
I can only, honestly, right, if, I'm not saying Harvey Barnes, I'm not saying if we had Harvey Barnes, right, but let's say we had a player, everything's fine, and say Leicester had went down, but they had Saint-Maximin, right? And I would be I'd be here now with my pants down going sign him. Because it's that type of play. I love that type of play.
There's actually a question for you, Decker. So from our good friend El Grande Salmon. So question for Decker. If there is a level of player that you would accept a maxi sale for in order to finance it, what sort of level player is that?
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he would do a job on the left wing, like. But
no, but I'd sacrifice him. I would sacrifice Maxi for that. I wouldn't sacrifice him for Harvey Barnes, like. And that's no disrespect, because I totally take on board here the stats that Harvey Barnes is produced, because I've seen them. I've seen them in terms of appearances and goals and assists. Outstanding player. And to be fair, every single time I've watched him, I've thought he's a good player. Him. I really have. He works hard. I think he seems to work hard.
He's a very good player. I like him.
I just don't know why you'd want to sell someone that is a game changer, exciting. Now, I'm not disagreeing with injuries and stuff. That is a problem, and I've sat here many times and said if that continues, then you've got to look. It is actually, you kind of carry him. I'm certainly not saying you can do that, but I just think he definitely deserves 100% one more season of everyone's support, given to the points you referenced before about being the only player we had for such a long period of time. And I do miss that Maxi 2.0 kind of, the one that would just take everyone on.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, that's gone. Like,
he's a big game player, though. Remember the Man City game earlier in his last season now?
Unbelievable.
He had
one of his
Kyle
3
Walker
good games.
Toast.
It was unbelievable. There's no other player has got Pep on his knees from the halfway line like he did that game. He turned and Pep just fell at his knees. And we scored. He put it through for Wilson. Quality can't pass or assist, but he did set it well.
Was it more that he was frustrated with his own players, or
he knew if you let him turn here, you're in trouble.
It's the narrative here, isn't it?
Well, why else do you think he went down? He wasn't looking for a bag of crisps. He went down because Maxi got the ball and was like, oh, shit, again.
He then spent a lot of time slagging off Walker and the fact that he couldn't play in that position.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Maxi. You've just basically broke his ankles because you're that quick. But anyway, he definitely deserves another season. I'd be more annoyed that Dummett's got an extension. That annoys me.
Whoa. Don't be bringing Paolo Dumentini into this.
That honestly annoys me more than the idea of keeping Maxi. Whereas I think people would honestly probably rather get rid of Maxi. Give Dummett another 5 years. It's fine, that, near bother. But Maxi, get rid of him tomorrow. Get rid of them tomorrow.
You're probably not going to get the same money for Paul Dummett as you'll get for Maximin. Like,
probably more, to be fair.
On an FFP perspective.
Well, then, so if we look at that one, how much do you think you get for Maxi? How much would you want for him if he was?
I don't know.
If you were in charge?
I don't know. Honestly,
Mark?
I've not got a clue.
5 million?
6.5.
How much do you think you could get for him?
Well, when you look at the figures that are being bandied around, like I've seen figures of like, oh, you'll go for 20 million, 25 million, and
I guess 40 plus. Like,
so let's say it's 20. Would you sell him for 20 million?
I wouldn't.
No,
Fuck
because
that.
when you compare, like obviously the two players that were being majorly linked with in, not necessarily on the left wing, is one of them is Bonds out in that position, and the other is the right side with Chiesa over there. And when you're looking at the money, like the money for being quoted for Bonds is, I think, is pretty.
I think we're
pretty low in all honesty.
I think there's quite a difference between what Newcastle have offered and what Leicester would be prepared to. And Leicester have had a pretty good pre-season, and they've got Harry Winks in, they've got Connor Cody. Obviously, Madison's gone to Spurs, but Madison's gone to Spurs for money.
Yep.
So they've brought those lads in. Leicester look like they're quite strong at the
But
minute.
again,
so
it was less than was rumoured the kind of that they were looking for. That he's gone there.
He only had a year left, didn't he, in his contract, Madison? Am I right in thinking that? So they would have had to have kind of compromised a little bit there. I don't know how long Harvey Barnes has got left on his deal.
Just to clarify, because I feel I've been against Harvey Barnes, I would take Harvey Barnes, absolutely 100%. But I want him part of the squad. I don't want to lose Maxi for him. Like I don't. I wouldn't want to lose. I wouldn't want to lose. Sacrifice Almiron for him or Murphy for him if it has to be a 1-in 1-out situation. I wouldn't want to sacrifice any of them for him.
Does that decision almost get taken out of the hands of the club if we sign Bonds and bring him in, given the fact that we've got Bonds there, we've got Gordon that can play in that position. We're quite lucky on the left side of things. Does that, and is that where the rumours are then coming from?
Well, you have got a lot of people.
Yeah, lopsided then. Kind of at the start of the summer, the talk was that would sell Saint-Maximin, but that he was one of the kind of more saleable assets in business because he's one who's going to get you a few £1 million in and help to balance the books towards FFP and all that. He's never had that big a contract, has he?
No,
as you understand it.
No, he hasn't.
He's not like a really high earner.
No.
Like all things considered. So, I mean, there's that side of things. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're selling him, I think off the top of my head, 40-45 million at least.
If it's £20 million, I'd take him for half a season. If it's £20 million, I'd rather just keep him and go, if you're injured for half of it, we'll deal with you for the second half and try and cause some trouble when you're on the pitch. But for £20 million, I wouldn't even entertain it.
Where's he going for that kind of money though?
What for? Sorry, 40. Did you mean sorry? Well, that's a tough one because he's not gonna. Man City won't want him. I appreciate all them wouldn't. So it is difficult. Like it'd have to be abroad.
I don't know. I think someone like Villa, West Ham, that level, someone around Brighton, someone around our level.
Could you see them forking out that amount of money?
It's a lot of money, like that. It's a lot of money.
Brighton, yeah. Well, I know it's. Well, I'm not saying they would necessarily put that standard. I think
Minamino out there as well, haven't they?
Yeah, he's got him. Like, he's really good. But like, I mean, I know what Villa have got. They just signed. They've had quite a good summer, haven't they, Villa, so far?
They have signed somebody, but I can't remember his name now.
A couple.
Yeah.
But like, I think that level. I don't think he's going to go to like. I was going to say Leeds. They went down, didn't they? He's not going to go to Luton or like the team at the bottom. No. But I think someone like West Ham, who are kind of in Europe again, they obviously won the Conference League, so they're in the Europa League this season. They'll want to have a better season in the league because I could see them, and I think he'd do a job there. I think he's probably at the standard of club in Newcastle that his talent. I don't think there's a kind of big discrepancy between his talent and what Newcastle are at the minute. I think Newcastle wanting to improve means that I think that's why we're talking about him for ages here. I think that's why he's putting the things on Instagram about working out and he's like motivational quotes stuff because I think he's keen and he wants to stay and fight for his place. And I said earlier, I would love him to.
I think he's also doing that to try and get some people off his back as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what I mean? Because he's got Mark messaging him every day, calling him worse than Muck. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding.
I wonder if it might even be for the benefit of like other teams. If he's been told,
exactly. Do you think he's maybe? I don't want to, claim to be ITK or cause any ructions on here, but could he have been, maybe a little whisper in his ear that he is potentially surplus to requirements?
Possibly. You never know what goes on. You never know what, especially at the minute, apparently the club are being very careful with the information that they give out and to whom they give it. And
you've always, the thing in football, right, and we all know this, right, as Bestie referenced about his contract, it isn't much, is it? It's not like a big earner. If his agent's getting feelers that other clubs maybe abroad that'll pay him more money, you never know. You know what I mean? That can always maybe make a move and stuff like that. So you never really know. But honest to God, for me, achieving what we've achieved last season and being in the Champions League and all the rest of it, I honestly, truly believe he would have moments in big moments next season. I'm not saying 45 games, he's going to be amazing. I am not saying that, but I'm saying there will be moments in this season where I think he could really, really be
I think he's a big game player. I referenced Man City earlier, the cup final. I thought he played really well, and the big chance that we had was him turning Dalot inside out into here making that save. So I think the Champions League, I think obviously everyone's played it, don't they? But I think that he would. Us being in pot 4, we're going to have at least 4 really hard games, home and away. Against pots 1, pots 2, pot 3, you could end up with like a rotten out group. So he'll be
good team that pot 2, aren't they?
Pot 2,
pot 2 United.
Is that a Peruvial reference?
No, I don't
understand.
But yeah, I think we'll move on because we've been talking about matches.
Well, for a long time now. But yeah, I think I'd rather keep him if for nothing else. Just the strength and depth thing. I don't know if I would swap him for Barnes. But it could well be that Barnes is someone who Howe's looked at and goes, he follows instruction perfectly. He is a better fit because Saint-Maximin's had to kind of...
He's 100% a Howe player, but
I get that impression. Yeah. When he said you might not get people off their seats and say, well, Saint-Maximin does do that, but almost to the detriment. I suppose theoretically to the detriment of the structure.
And I'm just an old romantic in regards to that. I honest to God, man, I used to go just to watch him. Yeah. I can't deny that. I used to physically just get excited. Didn't really want to go on, but I thought Maxie's on the day, and at least I'll get something from it. Yeah. I used to get the same out of Ben Arthur. He hated him and all, but I used to be the same. But I know I've said this many times here, and I'll say it again. I love Ginola, I love Robert, I love Ben Arthur, I love Maxie, and there's a reason why. Because
French.
They're just exciting players, man.
They are.
Just exciting players that have they have that thing in them where they can get us off my seat and they can make something. Now, all right, he might not track back and tackle the entire world for you. All right, maybe not, but I'll never change, ever change. I'll always love a player that is willing to be different, and that's all I've really got to say.
So you blame the left back every week for conceding goals when there's no cover in front of him. Anyway, moving on.
I never blame John Beresford.
So, yes, we are coming towards the end of tonight's podcast. So it's that time of the evening.
Maximin special.
No way.
I'm telling you.
9 o'clock.
So it is that time where you send in your questions. Right. So come on, get in the chat. Send us some questions. Last 15 minutes or so. Maybe a little bit longer.
I will say
the boss isn't here to make us stop.
Oh, we'll go forever. I will say that was one of the more nicer debates we've had about him, because normally me and you were just going 10. I watched one the other.
I don't switch off. I'm sat there.
It did one pop up on YouTube randomly. I don't know why, and I clicked on it, and it was me and you were going 10 now, like.
Okay, them glasses with the eyes in. That's me there. 40 wings.
Well, that was a nice one.
He has one for you. He has something I've got to raise. That's got nothing to do with any of the playing stuff. He's got a Magpie movers yet.
Oh, can you get them now?
You have been up for a while,
Oh, I better get on that.
It's just a bit of card. It's the same as last year's, but with this year's number written on it.
Yes.
It strikes us that it should be digital now, really.
Well, the
everything
season tickets going to be digital now, isn't
normally
it?
I put that in a little wallet with the season ticket and they live together.
Yeah.
I'm not going to... Obviously, the season ticket's not a physical thing this year, so now my Magpie Mover is just going to be on its own.
Because we're not getting one membership either, so we're not getting a little wallet to put it in either.
Yeah, that's right, aye. Unless you can pay for the membership separately if you so wish, can't you?
You still don't get a little wallet.
Do you not?
Stopped it. Too expensive. Cost of living.
Fair play.
So
it seems unusual, that. But yeah, I don't know why the Magpie... I'll put it in your pop card. Get a pop card off the Metro. Bang, Magpie Mover on there. You're laughing. That's my 2 cents. That's my thoughts on this year's Magpie Mover.
Quick fire question. What number's Tonali getting?
45.
Nice. Decker?
Mitrovic, yeah.
Viona. That's where my mind went.
Right,
you go.
Okay. My mind went.
You go.
Well, it can't be 8.
Who's number 8? Oh, Gordon.
I think you'll get 8, like.
I would like him to be 8. I don't know what then Gordon would get, but
11.
So I would like him to get 8.
No, number 11's taken.
We're going to retire number 11 when Richie goes, are we?
Absolutely.
Gordon could get 11 because Richie.
We can't.
No, man.
It's not happening. It's not allowed.
We don't seem to change them that often.
I'll get as defensive as you over Maxi if we start going in on Richie.
This is what's mental. I know. I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to say 8. 8. It's not going to be, but yeah, I'll stick with it.
Who's number 20 at the minute? Because I know the mock-ups that Scott's made. One was 20, one was 8, wasn't it? Number 20.
20, I think, was the other. The other one was rumoured. 8, 20. What's free? That's about it at the minute in the lower numbers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dummett's got number 3.
Well, number 1 might be available because Karius has signed an extension, so Dubravka, Karius and Gillespie have signed extensions, in fact, so Dubravka could well be on the way out. So there's number 1.
Or is it Darlow?
Or maybe it's both.
Yeah, I mean, Darlow obviously spent the season, well, the second half of the season out on loan at Hull.
Hull.
Didn't do too badly by all accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did all right. Some played 1 or 2 games, like.
Stu asks, how important is a new centre-back this summer, Decker? Where'd you put that on your priority list?
I think. Listen. If FFP wasn't a thing and we could do whatever we wanted, I think we'd probably want to have 6 or 7 in, right? But we've got to try and cut across accordingly.
That's a one, yeah.
I would love to get a slight replacement, not replacement, but in the share mould, right-hand sided centre half that can play football, because we've got Lascelles who will of course come in there, but the football part's the issue.
Yeah.
He'd head a wall for you, and he's been a great captain, a great servant, all the rest of it. But in terms of what we are at the back and the way we play, Lascelles really kind of do that. I don't feel. Byrne, I think, will be the sort of the Botman side of it, replacement or sort of sub, if you like. So it would be good, but maybe he thinks we can survive on what we've got, because we'll technically have Botman, Byrne, Lascelles share. Maybe he thinks 4's enough.
Yeah,
maybe, but I wouldn't mind one. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind someone coming in.
Got talk on Twitter this week about them looking at Bonucci.
Really?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's just a red herring that's been chucked out there. But yeah,
yeah. I didn't read that one.
Left field one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
No, centre half.
Hey, we haven't got enough of them left wingers. Let's get another one in. But no, Stephen Peacock thinks centre back is key as well for him. Needs a place in the back four if we play a higher press. There's a worry, isn't it? Botman isn't the overly quick.
We're whole back four, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, we're whole back four slows out. And listen, we've done very, very well. Last season was great, but that is slow. Like
you don't always need to be. I think if you can be that good a centre half, that you can come off. They always say a good centre half is one who comes off with clean shots.
Yeah, you can really.
But Botman reads the game very well.
I think that's a big help. But there again, we did. I remember Liverpool at home before the red card. Ironically, before Pope got sent off, they cut through with the same thing a couple of times.
Yeah,
the ball through the channel, and Salah and Nunes got onto it, and caused a bother with their pace. And I think that could happen. Teams could watch it and go, "That's how good."
You're right in what you say there, because there's a lot of teams. You tend to find this, when teams come up into our division or whatever it may be, and they're just beating everybody, and it takes teams a while to work out how to beat them or how to.
Quite often,
it does.
I remember Blackpool about 15 years ago when they came up with us. Hull,
and maybe that's one way to think. Is if we can maybe with pace down, whatever. But I totally agree with the comment. I just think we have to. We can't buy everyone as much as we want to, and I just feel that maybe if something bad happened in pre-season, an injury or something may force our hand to be at a centre half, but maybe they might just run with the 4 we've got, and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. It's just what they might do. Like
Jonathan Casely asks about left backs, so he thinks it's gone very quiet on left backs.
It has.
Surely there's a high priority there.
Gotta be.
I'd hope so, and that's again not intended to be a criticism of Dan Byrne, Matt Targett, Jamal Lewis, or Paul Dummett, all of whom I like a lot. But I've said it a few times, like teams always would target Byrne, or they'll Byrne target, one of the two. It's a joke. They'll always have a go at Dan Byrne because he was perceived to be the weakest part of the defence. At Old Trafford, I remember it happened every week. I'd seen the teams would predominantly go down our right-hand side because Dan Byrne.
They'd never beat
perceived.
Dan Byrne, though, did they?
But I think Byrne did really well last season, but I would like to see a defender, a fullback who's going to kind of give what Trippier gives on the right, or an approximation of that, because I do love Dan Byrne, but that's not his game. You don't often see him, like, over the course of a season, getting forward and getting chalk on his boots and putting the ball in and overlapping and all that. It did happen towards the end of the season a little bit, but I'd rather that was like a young, like an athletic, someone who can put a Kieran Tierney would be ideal, but again, injury prone.
Injuries, yeah.
Which is a problem. If we can kind of take 20 years off Davide Santon and get him back, 10 years.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think
I used to like Santon.
I like him a lot.
He came in for a lot of stick as well.
I did.
I thought it was really good. He was just he left quite early.
He bottled a challenge in the derby was when I was really disappointed in him when Johnson scored. It was like a 50-50 in the 6-yard box, and he didn't really want it, and Johnson just tapped it in. I was like, you bastard. But anyway, he was a different one because he used to come inside all the time, which was an inverted one. Which
right footer, wasn't he?
He was right footed,
which wasn't really what we were used to, but he was good. Loved getting forward, didn't he, man? I used to love it to get out his feet and get forward, come inside.
Jose Enrique was the same. I loved him. I was ashamed the way he left.
I was
in the end,
And the
when
fact
he
that he
was,
never played for her. If you go off
I know, it's awful,
the way he
isn't it?
goes on
Aye,
in
yeah.
his
Yeah,
behaviour.
ironically, what he was saying wasn't wrong about the club at the time.
No, I know, but
No,
it's the
but
way.
the last couple of years.
It's the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's white from his memory, the fact that he played in black and white for a long time.
Yeah.
He had some good memories. I remember he scored in the championship. It was an amazing moment.
Forest.
Right? The
In the
Forest
rain.
was excellent. That wasn't it? That was great.
Tell you
I
what the
love
match was
him.
that night for me.
What, sorry?
Man of the match that night for me, James Perch.
Oh, Perching. Yeah.
Mark Gutierrez out of the game. He was absolutely brilliant. But Shola scored on the edge of the box that he scored exactly the same one at home at Tottenham a couple of years later.
Yeah.
We just coming in left foot bottom. It's a lovely finish.
Yeah.
But that Jose Enrique absolutely lamping it down.
That was amazing.
That was a
wasn't it?
proper
It was
moment.
brilliant.
That like.
Aye. Yeah. But no, go back to the question. I think not nothing against Dan Burn. I just think if you want to become what we want to become, you need to upgrade in that area. It's factual, right? Surely the best teams in the world ain't going to have Dan Burn left back, and that's no offence to Dan Burn, but I mean, that style of fullback now is so important, man, in the modern game.
I think that's true of most of the team, to be honest with you. If you look at I say most of the team, a lot of the squad players, likes of maybe it's Miggy, Jacob Murphy on that side. I say Burn, Shea, maybe. There's a lot of players in that first team squad. I mean, beyond that, obviously, there's likes of Hendrick and Hayden aren't going to be playing for them anymore. Brian Fraser. But there's a lot of lads in the round the first team where that aren't. If we kind of keep on this trajectory, and it's going to slow down, we're going to plateau. It's going. This season's going to be hard. I don't think we'll be top 4 this season. You can see Pochettino will probably do a better job at Chelsea than Potter and the lads did. Liverpool, I'm less convinced about, to be honest with you. But Spurs as well. I think a lot. If Kane stays at Spurs, I think they'll be a good side again this year.
I like him, manager. I think what we're Burn as well. Like, you know, if he was, you know, starting centre half, I just have to say, Dan Burn's done amazing there, and I actually think Dan Burn's a very, very good player.
Yes, I do.
Honestly, I do. It's just in that particular area, what I like from a left back is more than what he. That's one of the reasons why Dummett used to always, because he just going forward wasn't enough. That's all it is. It's only criticism I'm going to give him. And if he was starting because of an injury, Dan Burns centre half, I'd be absolutely sound with that.
Yeah,
because I think Dan Burns brilliant. You know, I really do.
So apparently, the fact that Dummett can play left back and centre back is causing us not to need to look in those couple of areas. According to Ian, thinks it will prevent anyone being brought in.
Anyone being born?
Anyone being born.
God, Dummett's got some power, hasn't he?
15. Well, what about Jamal Lewis? We've got there as well. And I don't know, but I thought before he got injured, after the takeover, he started. I mean, it was literally 2 or 3 games, but he played very well in those 2 or 3 games. That kind of Eddie Howe seems to see something in him, and if Eddie Howe sees something in him, then I'm happy to kind of cede to his. What's it called? What's the word? His
superior knowledge.
Yes.
Well,
his experience, his insight.
I think Target's miles ahead of Lewis in terms of a player.
Matt Target's a good fullback as well.
I love Target when he came in on loan, and I was gutted to think we weren't going to get him because it kind of seemed we weren't going to. I'm a massive fan of Target, and to be fair here on the back of that, you have to credit Byrne massively that he kept him out the side, and rightfully so because we weren't conceding any goals.
He struggled with injuries last season as well.
He did,
in fairness,
but it was on performances as well. When Target was fit towards the end of the season, he did come on a few times, but Byrne was.
Yeah. Oh, Byrne
played that well.
I like Target.
The more I talk, the more I think, do we need him? Like,
do we need one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I see what you're saying.
I think we do, but it's that thing of kind of you can't be too sentimental.
And it's hard, isn't it? It is really hard because you get sentimental because we've had such an amazing season. Your heart's saying, no, all of them deserve to have a chance. Why would you want to change it? And I understand that, but in football, you have to. You have to be always progressing and looking to be better because if you don't, you're never standing still. For me, you're going backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not standing still. You're going backwards. So it's difficult. Like.
Very interesting point from Torfinho here, which I'd never even thought about until this moment. City, Arsenal and Newcastle all played with centre-backs at full-back last season and had the best defences in the league.
What? Say that again, sorry?
City, Arsenal and Newcastle all played with centre-backs playing at full-back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did, yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting point. Not one I've thought
So should we be looking
there.
at drop Trippier for a centre-half?
Who could go out on the right-hand side? Well, there's been... I've seen... was it the Ajax central defender? We've been linked with him over the last few days.
There's one from Monaco as
and
well.
There's
we are a Dutch expert as well, so is any good, Mark? German expert, Dutch expert.
Dutch and Deutsch.
Steve. And he was floating out to the right-hand side quite a bit as well, but I don't know, I'm not quite sure about that.
That happens as a good old Matt this year's gone quite low at the right hand side, hasn't he, over the last few years as well.
Well, you just mentioned something there, Bestie. Say it again for the listeners and viewers.
Matt Letizier's just gone over at the right hand side quite a bit over last year. That surely isn't relevant to what's in the.
I thought you said something completely different.
But
So,
Monaco centre half.
Monaco.
A defender, I'm not sure centre half, like, but yeah. I saw a couple of things with us and Man United were chasing somebody in. I love that picture. And I got a message off Darren Blackburn before I came in, so I've not had a chance to look. But he says apparently that people are saying that we're in for him.
Yeah, well, there's lots and lots of fever pitch in the chat tonight about Disassi.
That's a fella.
That's the fella.
Yeah.
That apparently we're in talks with him. Deals being agreed. It's all over French journalists and stuff like that. So, but it's one of those things where somebody breaks a story, they all get a hold of it. But apparently, there's a lot of noise as we've been live this evening.
It's one of those
around
ones. The players that have bought, like, there doesn't always tend to be a lot of noise until it happens. So unless like by Wednesday he's holding the scarf, it seems unlikely that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it.
Maybe he's holding the scarf, but someone's drawn a picture of him.
I think it is a lot more professionally run, isn't it? Because we haven't got these moles of, like, some of the business we've been doing is just he's in all of a sudden. It's like literally, a deal's been agreed and he's on his way. Like it's been quite refreshing in that regard, because normally we're just, especially in the Ashby, oh my God, when you were chasing this player and it was just taking for months, wasn't it? Months.
You see, Rob M on Twitter that does the pizza stuff.
Yeah.
You see what he put on today about the scouting and stuff and the links.
No.
He said
But
that.
what, Excalibur?
No, Rob. Excalibur links. Scouting links.
Oh, scouting. I thought you said.
Scouting. No, scouting.
I thought you said Excalibur.
He said we're
Where
feeding
we
all the
going with this?
information to the lady in the lake.
You're pulling swords out of
All
rocks.
sitting round a round table. No, he says apparently what's been happening is that some of the scouts have been given bumps there, so the scouts have been given missions, and not necessarily going to see players, but they've been given like go and look up such and such, and if that comes out into the press, then that means that scout's a leak.
Oh, okay.
So they've been given. It's like he mentioned it as being like the Colleen Rooney Wagatha thingy. What was it?
Yeah. With
Vardy's lass.
Rebecca Vardy.
Rebecca Vardy. So
Your lasses are grass.
they've been so funny that.
It's great. Like,
So yeah, they've been kind of intentionally giving one or two scouts some bans, and if that
Luke
goes into
Edwards
press,
apparently got
then-
Drew into that, didn't he? With his leaks?
before got Tonali. So I think they're trying to be as tight as they can with information. So if something comes out, it's either happening or it's not.
Well, obviously we're getting lots of rumours with him and deals agreed. We've had the same for the last week with Bonds.
Yeah.
And it's all, a formality, it happening, but...
I don't know if this because I'm getting older. I don't know, but it might be. But, like, do you know, like, I'm not worried. Like you see, like, before it would be like, if it was this time last season, I haven't signed anybody. We're not linked with anyone. What's going on? We need 10 players. We need this. It's fine. Like, I know for a fact that they are working on deals and they are working on... Like, they are. It's as simple as that. They're not going to be sitting twiddling their thumbs.
By the time the season starts, or certainly by the time the window closes, I think we'll be quite happy with what's happened.
100%. 100%.
You look at the deals that we've done in recent times. Bruno came out of nowhere. There was no noise around it. Isaac came out of nowhere. No noise. Tonali came out of nowhere. So...
I'm not saying you're going to get another 3 Brunos in the door. I'm not saying that, but...
That'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
It would be lovely. But you know for a fact that the club are going to be working day and night to make sure they get the right player. They're just... they're never going to be going, that's enough.
Yeah.
They're not driven that way. The mentality's so different now. And I appreciate, like, I was going to take the kids to school the other day and there's 3 people stopped us going, hey, been dead quiet, haven't we? Done out. Don't worry. Like, I don't know anything, by the way, but it'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be, it's too quiet for my liking. Well, they are not sitting on their hands. Charlie would have been sitting on his hands or maybe eating a sausage roll.
They'll be trying.
But them will be trying. And it's just not that, I'm not saying worry, but, like, it'll be fine.
It's not the time to panic.
Nah.
Oh, God, no. I don't know why I sound as if people are panicking. I'm not saying people are. I'm just saying it'll be fine. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I think we'll be fine. Yeah. Right. Well, I think we'll be fine. Well, obviously going to be fine. We're not going to... I don't think we're going to be in a relegation battle this season.
God forbid.
Let's. I nearly said we're not going to be. Well, no, but the same will be fine. You've seen teams that have qualified for European competition in recent years. West Ham last season's a case in point.
Yeah.
Who have really had a harder time in the league. Fulham went down. We did it when we qualified for the Europa League in 2012. So I think we're in a slightly unique position in the backing that we've got now. And I love the fact that the Cellar Cup, the tournament that we're having in a few weeks' time at home, is sponsored by someone
5th of August.
Sponsored by someone other than Cellar. Malta Airways,
Malta,
I think it is.
yeah.
They're getting sponsors to sponsor what sponsors tournament, which is obviously just another way of kind of getting a few spons in. Like, so I think they're a more savvy bunch than we've had in the past. These ones, I think I don't think we're going to be any kind of danger. I think top four is going to be a big one again with Champions League in there.
Yeah, I can't.
In the Champions League itself, I'm not massively confident that we'll get out the group stage, but you look if the managers are the Barcelona, Bayern Munich, the teams in pot A or pot 1 as it is, they're going to be looking at pot 4 thinking, "Fuck, we don't want Newcastle." I'm not saying they'll be like shit scared of it, but they'll be looking. I think that's going to be that's 2 hard games. That's not like it's not some farmers from such and such.
Yeah.
You know, that's a hard game for them. That so, whichever group we end up in is going to be the group of death. By virtue of the fact that we are, it sounds arrogant to say it, we appear to be, from my knowledge, the strongest team in pot 4, or one of the stronger teams that will be in pot 4.
Celtic's in there as well. It's probably
So we are still, how, is that the best you can do?
probably us and them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're better than them, I would have to say. And I still say they'll not want to come in our building on it. I'll tell you, it'll be tough.
But even if we finish third, we'll get a run at the Europa League, don't we? That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's what I think the reference what you said. I've honestly got no expectations. I just want to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought what's going to go yet. I'm so glad to be in it, and we'll run with it and see what happens.
No, we've all paid for the first game now, won't we? So.
And I think in terms of the league format, I've said this a few times, not to end it on a negative, but there'll be a few times this season we'll have to hold hands and just get on with it and brave it. Because I still feel there's going to be a bit of a run coming, which we may have not tasted for such a long time. And of course, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we win the Champions League, and I hope we win the league. But it's going to be tough, I think.
We've got a tough start of the season. The first month, is it Man City, Tottenham, Liverpool, Villa, Brighton?
Everyone keeps saying, it's a great time to play them. Nah, not all of them at one go. I'll take a few of them, but
Gets out of the way.
Some stretch, it's some stretch to games. I hate at the start. Like, I mean, while I've on telly for all 6, which is no surprise because we're on the big games, but it's a tough old start. Like, but you never know. Listen, we might come out of it and we might be in a really healthy position, and we're all going to get excited. Go, hey, we've just played all the big lads.
18 points going into September. End up dropping points against, I don't know, play in September.
Well, it will happen though, won't it? Because that's football. You kind of look on the list and go, definitely win that one.
That's why bookmakers make so much money, because people back favourites. It doesn't always work. So exactly. But we've got a hard start. It's going to be a rough, not a rough season. It's not going to be what last season was. I don't think. We're not going to be in the top 4 for 32 out of 38 games, whatever it was.
Top 5 will do.
Well, apparently, not definitely, but most likely for the Champions League, because we'll get the one spot. Is it go on the league's coefficient, or is it performance in the? So almost certainly top 5, because English teams are only getting stronger, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like the teams are finishing 9th or 10th are probably better than most Champions League teams beyond the last 6. But
when you look outside of the major countries that you would associate with top level football that play within.
Yeah, like if you look at who finished 10th last season, well, Chelsea are a bit of a weird one, but like the way Brighton played last season, or if you drop Brighton's team into like the French league, I think, PSG maybe, but they'd be in the Champions League certainly, or the Dutch league or the Belgian league. Or
the league itself's just getting more, and we'll see it every year, but it's getting more and more competitive. Because you've got
hugely. It's the top half.
Look where Villa finished last season. Then they'll be wanting to kick on. Everybody wants to kick on, of course, but you've got Brighton who will want to be there. Spurs will want to improve. Liverpool massively want to improve. Chelsea will hugely want to improve.
Aye.
It's really tough. Like, it's incredibly hard.
It's really hard, and it's good to have that level of competition. It's a shame that it's kind of at the expense almost of, like, remember when you were a kid and like obviously football wasn't on the telly as much, but you'd watch European game and it was, even when like Barcelona were that team, and it wasn't just the British clubs kind of gobbling up all the quality then.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah,
like when like Milan v Juve in 94, Ajax Juve 95, sorry, and that Ajax team, and now you look at that Ajax team back then, Seedorf, Davids, the big goalkeeper who's poorly at the minute, Van der Sar, like Reisiger, Kluivert, they would have been scooped by an English club by now. They're being Chelsea's youth team.
I'll agree with you that the league is so competitive, but it is a shame that it is just our league now. And I agree with you because I remember honest to God, man, I used to love tuning on ITV for a Champions League night and like seeing the likes of Brazilian Ronaldo, for example, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like the real other clubs coming from around the world that you haven't seen as much.
Yeah.
Seeing Zidane's of the world. It was just amazing days. And now I agree. As soon as a decent player's over there, then 8 times out of 10 get snapped up over here.
A lot of the time. But it is.
But
there again, I saw someone else say something recently that was Haaland was the first really, really world-class player to have come to the Premier League from abroad. Maybe ever. I think Ronaldo wasn't a finished article when he came. Messi never came. Ibrahimovic was 35, 36 when he came.
Probably Robinho when he went to
Man City.
Man
Even then,
City.
he was on
but
his
he
way.
obviously played around a bit by then.
Well, apparently
Allegedly.
so. Rumours are. So yeah, but Haaland was the first kind of real, like superstar to come. It's like if like Lewandowski's never played in the Premier League and he's been
Bottled it.
well, he did
100%.
He bottled it by staying in Bayern,
Messi did as well.
Munich, and then going to Barcelona. I would do this if I was German. I remember my dad when Neuer went to,
He's Argentinian.
Neuer went from Schalke to Bayern, and my dad goes, he couldn't bet on that. That is, he's like Germany's number one. He was going to Munich. Like it's the same as Aaron Ramsdale going to Arsenal. I suppose, or better. If Man City bought Jordan Pickford instead of him going to, well, he's the best that country's got. Well, Nick Pope going to the best that country's got. It's one of those things. Like it's just it's mad that like. Given that we've just talked about how much the Premier League buys everyone, Haaland's the first really massive superstar. And even then he could argue that he was just on the cusp of it at Dortmund.
Because he was so young, yeah.
That we've signed, as I say, Ronaldo wasn't, Messi never came over here. Tevez was here, he came here from Argentina, so he hadn't quite done it yet. He became a superstar here, but he had to move here to Luis Suarez.
I was thinking Thierry Henry, but even Henry was as much as
young lad in Monaco.
Yeah.
In 98, he had a good World
He
Cup
was
in
terrible at
98.
Juventus when he was playing that position, like, but yeah.
Why?
But
So
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
it's just, it's a funny old thing. An anomaly.
It is, but it's exciting for the future of English football.
Well, the good thing is any good player, we've got the opportunity to sign them now as well from abroad. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were just running everywhere else except us, and we'd be at the bottom of the barrel. But now over the years, we're just going to get more and more and more powerful as a club because of sponsorships that are coming in, money that we can generate, all the rest of it, and we'll buy everyone.
It's peculiar that we still don't have a training kit sponsor or any sponsorship around where the Sports Direct boards used to be in St James's.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we don't know. We haven't been back yet this season.
Well, you
haven't got long to last.
Photo in the group chat today.
We did, yeah. All of the safe standing seats are now in the Gallowgate corner.
Wait to belt me hips off those when I'm going up the stairs. That's going to be great fun. That I'm going to be absolutely.
I know you've put a bit of timber on during the summer break, but I think you'd still be able to get up and down the stairs.
I'm going to
all
be
right.
black and blue.
But no, it was nice to see that the safe standing going in and being installed, and not long until we get to see it because, as I did say at the start, football is back. Pre-season is officially here. Gateshead at the weekend, Rangers next week. Then we've got the tour of the States the week after that, and then back here for the Cellar Cup.
It's a lot of pre-season, that Cellar Cup. It's expensive. The £55. I'm not paying that for 2 games, but you get like 7 games.
Yeah,
it's really if you can sit
across
there and
2
watch
days,
more, it's brilliant.
women's teams,
With the
our
last play
teams
West
are
Brom
playing
on the Saturday night as well. So they should get another.
Nice to see that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this season because obviously I haven't been promoted. It's a bit of a step in.
And they've gone pro.
The first team at that level to go pro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think that's still 2 divisions beneath the WSL. But
it's only 3 years away.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
It was correct. It's a big passion thing for Amanda Staveley. It's one of her big things is getting the women's team kind of to the top level. So want to keep an eye on that.
Definitely
nice a few games.
Be good. But yes, it's certainly good to have the football back, and we're only 5 weeks away from the start of the season. Or is it 4 or 6? Who knows? Some people say 4, some people say 5.
Depends on how
some
many.
people say 6.
It's about
Depends
cricket,
which day of the week you're on and how far ahead you are in it. It's 5. But thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, give us a little thumbs up. Like this video. It does help us. You've all been great in the comments as well. Lots and lots of interaction there. But lads, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for spending the evening with me.
Always a pleasure, Mark.
Let's go and have a lovely cup of tea and recover after it.
I'm too hot for a cup of tea. Sweating, back my neck sweating.
It's getting warm again in this room, isn't it?
It is hot.
If you want to help us keep cooler in this room and fund us with a fan, you can also become a member. It only costs how much, Bestie?
£2.99.
Is that £2 or is it £3?
You need £3 coins.
I'll give you a penny change. $2.99 a month. That's how much it is to become a member. It is indeed.
Yeah.
So you do pay attention.
Sometimes.
But yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the week. Good night.
Bye.